Our 100th episode, Neighborhood Kindness Project, has been supported by the City of Waterloo mini grants. Check out the City of Waterloo website to see how you can get one to help support neighborhood connection and kindness.
Welcome to Bonn Park.
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 Do you enjoy Bonn Park Podcast?
If so, we would really appreciate it if you
Leave a review.
like, rate, subscribe, but most importantly,
Share directly from the platforms.
with your family and friends. That's the best way to get the word out to everybody, and more people will get to see our show that way. So click those like buttons and share our show. Thank you.
Thanks.
On with the show. This is it. Bonn Park is supported by the St. Jacobs Farmers Market. The market is a community landmark of more than a half century and is the largest year-round farmers market in Canada. Whatever you crave, you'll find it there. There's country classics like fresh apple fritters, cinnamon rolls, and Oktoberfest sausage on a bun, and new favorites like corn-wrapped vegan tamales, Greek gyros, and blooming onions. With almost 300 food and artisan vendors on site, there's something for everyone, and it makes for a great day trip with family or friends. Stay up to date on hours and events by following the St. Jacobs Farmers Market on Facebook, Instagram, or at stjacobsmarket.com. And here's a word from Summer.
I love going to the market with my family. There's so much to see and do. I love trying all the different foods, and it's a great tradition for our family.
Welcome to the 100th episode of Bonn Park. I'm Sarah Geidlinger,
And I'm Marshall Ward.
and we're bringing this show to you actually from Bonn Park. It felt really good to get back to our roots, where Marshall and I actually met, and talk to some of our neighbors and the residents of Waterloo about what it means to be a kind neighbor and live in this area.
Here's City of Waterloo Ward 2 Councillor Royce Bodley.
City Councillor for City of Waterloo in Ward 2, which is in the northwest end of the city, and encompasses Clair Hills, Vista Hills, Laurelwood, and the surrounding areas, including Bonn Park. So I moved to the Columbia Forest part of the neighborhood here. I've been here, almost 15 years now. I moved to Waterloo from London in 1999 to attend Wilfrid Laurier University, and I met my wife there, and we decided to raise our family in Waterloo. Yeah, we always looked at the north end of the city once we were looking to purchase a home. We always looked to the northwest end of the city because it's sort of a new and vibrant part of the city. Was back then and still is today as we see some of these new neighborhoods develop and build out. And yeah, my experience out here has been wonderful. It's a place that's I think we're so privileged in this area of the city to be so close to Columbia Forest, the actual forest, and all the hiking trails, and to be able to experience nature in a way that I think many of us who live so close by actually take that for granted a little bit. That it's really unique for not just the city but the region in general. Schools are awesome, and neighbors have been great, and it's just been a wonderful experience for me out here in this area of the city. Well, and I think that's I think that. It's almost a microcosm of the things that I really value about the region of Waterloo in general. For me, the thing that's so unique about the region is we have this sort of emerging tech hub, and we're a destination for tech employees, and we have this thriving sort of student and young population, and we're world-renowned universities and that are driving people here. And you see a lot of the change that's happening in the community, taller buildings and things like that. But for me, one of the things that I really, really love about the region is the fact that, 5 minutes away, 5-minute drive, you're in Elmira, or you're in St. Jacobs at the market, or you can experience Hurley's Market from out here, so close to a Costco. And I think that, again, not a lot of other regions have that sort of value, and it's extremely important that we protect sort of that rural urban fabric. Just in terms of the community makeup, it's important from a farmland protection and a local food sourcing and things like that as well too. But like you said, it's really that microcosm out here, because we're literally right adjacent to the Wilmot line and right adjacent to that pristine farmland. We're 5 minutes from the boardwalk. We're 5 minutes from the universities. We're 5 minutes from the St. Jacobs Farmers Market. So it's really a unique and awesome place in the whole province, in my opinion.
My name is Aya, and I was living in Clair Hills since I was born.
Hi, I'm Brent, and I've been living in Clair Hills since 2003.
All right, well, I'm Gordon. This is Amanda, and we've been in Waterloo. I guess you've been here almost 8 weeks, and I've been here 6 weeks.
My name is Harper.
I'm Harry, and I've been living in Clair Hills since last 13 years.
Hi, my name is James, and I've been living here in Clair Hills for the last 3 years.
My name's Justina, and I've been living in Clair Hills for my whole life.
Hi, my name is Khaled.
I'm Hamza. We've been living here for about 3 years now.
Yeah, almost 3 years.
Hi, my name is Lori Shell, and I have lived in Clair Hills for the last 19 years.
Hello, I'm Linda, and I've lived in Clair Hills for 20 years.
My name is Maya, and I've been living in Clair Hills for the past 10 years, 11 years actually.
So my name is Momita Roy Chaudhuri.
Hi, I'm Mustafa Ahmed. I have lived in Clair Hills since 2016.
My name is Puya, and my family and I have been here since October 2018, so 3 years now, I guess.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
My name is Scott, and I've lived in Waterloo since 1973.
Hi, I'm Steve Geidlinger.
Marshall, it was a great joy to speak to so many neighbors and hear what they had to say. We were fascinated to hear the many different stories about what brought our neighbors to this area and why they choose to stay.
Hi, I'm Summer.
And I'm Sadie.
What we love about our community is how welcoming and friendly it is.
We also enjoy walking on the paths and forests with our friends.
Well, what attracted me to the area the most, I suppose, is I like to cycle, so it was 5 minutes down the road and you're out in the country.
Went to school here, and I always imagined myself living in a huge city, but I kind of when I moved to Waterloo, I kind of liked it, and everything was close, and it's a modern town, but so you have access to everything, but you don't have any of the traffic or the busy life. So I like that about Waterloo.
Initially, I was living in Toronto, and all my life we have lived in big cities like New Delhi, India, which was the capital, then Moscow, Russia, and then Toronto. And I know what life is in a smaller city because my grandparents were in a smaller city. So it's such a laid-back kind of atmosphere. You know everyone, and you can let your guard down. Well, as a bigger city, you are closing the doors, locking the doors, the windows. So you have to be so careful. So I wasn't not that keen, but my wife, she also always wanted to go and live in a smaller city.
I think it is a good place to raise a family. I think it really comes back to safety and, neighbors that actually smile and engage with each other. I think that's a key part of feeling safe in the neighborhood.
I love it here. People are awesome. I know a lot of families on my street, and we get together, we chat most of the time during the weekend or when we're walking early in the evening. I love it here because people are just so kind, but at the same time, they're very smart. We came to Waterloo because it's a tech hub. It has great schools, a great university. And I'm so grateful to be part of this community who's so generous and so giving and so smart.
So I'm a visual artist, and I'm living here for the last 5 years. So it's from 2016 onwards that I've been living in Clair Hills. I paint a lot, and I also teach painting. So I'm an art instructor. So I'm an art instructor with Homer Watson Gallery and Button Factory Arts in Waterloo. And I also teach young adults and children and elderly. So it's been a great journey so far.
Famoso, Uptown. That's my favorite restaurant. Or Bower Kitchen is really good. Best place to hang out is Uptown Waterloo, I think.
I think what I love most about the community itself, just being in this area of Clair Hills, the neighborhood's very close-knit. You know that it's definitely a village in terms of families hanging together and people looking out for each other. I know that if something's going on and we're not around, somebody's checking in and letting us know. I think it's just a lot of people are looking out for each other here, and that's a big deal when it comes to living in a neighborhood. As far as Waterloo itself, honestly, I think it's the opportunity. There's so much opportunity here. You have the mix of living in what seems like a city lifestyle, but you also have, the country lifestyle, kind of a more quiet living arrangement, within a 5 to 10 minute distance from where you are. So I think it's the best of both worlds everywhere here. That's why so many people are coming here.
We moved to Canada to be closer to our family, and we picked Waterloo basically because of jobs, and then also we're coming from the Bay Area in California, which is very urban and congested, and for me, I was really attracted to the fact that we're in an area that's close to things. I mean, you can get downtown really quickly, but we also have cornfields 5 minutes away, and so to me, that balance is really nice to see.
Yeah, I mean, I actually bike down to Earthville and out in the countryside, towards Bamberg, though that's where I actually go on my bike ride. I mean, I don't bike very long, but find it very enjoyable. Just the countryside, being so close to the city itself. I would say the only complaint I have is the driver sometimes not very careful. They tend to race by you. I don't know for what reason. Maybe they think I'm going really fast, which I'm not. So other than that, no, it's actually quite enjoyable to bike here, especially with the countryside so close.
I've moved here because of my daughter, and it was a lovely community. 20 years ago, though, all these houses weren't here. I moved into the model home, and it was actually a subdivision called Pleasantville, if you remember that. I don't know. And the concept of my end of the street is that everyone had a front porch, and the sidewalks were close to the front porches. And I've seen the subdivision develop into what the vision of the builder was to put the garages in the back and put the front porches in the front, so people could sit on their front porches and people could go for lovely walks and talk to their neighbors. And that's why I feel that this community has become, it actually has grown into the vision of what the developer wanted. So
the kids loved the area. This park actually is, I think, where I met you for the first time, Marshall, as well. And now we're almost neighbors. It's a great place to get to know people. And I don't know, we just love the neighborhood. The kids were settled here, and I thought it's a great family community. There was young kids around all over the place, and there's just great people here. When we first came to Waterloo and we had our family, we used to bring the kids out to the pumpkin farm every year. So just very close to here.
It's important to be close as a community. You get to know your neighbors. You just say hi when you're on the street, and you have events like these where you can come and mingle with people you haven't talked to, and you have the neighbors that you are close to, get to talk to them. I don't know, maybe during the summer have a couple dinners, maybe hang out in the backyard. Yeah, it's nice to have a close friendship with your neighbors and people around you, so they're nice and close.
We were thrilled when Mayor Dave Jaworski showed up at Bonn Park.
Hi, I'm Waterloo Mayor Dave Jaworski, and I came here to go to school in 1983. Well, it's nearby to my neighborhood. I walked here tonight. I live by Mary Johnson Public School, and it's just such a nice walkable neighborhood. And I think that's what really trying to build here is all the trail system, connecting all the trails in Waterloo, and make it more bikeable so that people can get around anyway. And you can make it age-friendly. So it's age-friendly for the kids who are playing on the playground, or age-friendly for people who are in a walker, wheelchair, and otherwise rolling. Well, some of the favorite things are certainly Waterloo Park. That's Waterloo Park. You have to go to Waterloo Park. It's like many things in Waterloo right now. It's under refurbishment. We're rebuilding the Waterloo Memorial Rec Complex. Just finished the new splash pad at Albert McCormick Arena. Waterloo Park, we're doing Silver Lake and the beautiful new walkway that went in there. And over in Rim Park, we have a brand new library going in, right? So just tons of things going on in Waterloo to make it a more walkable community, because we're only about 60 square kilometers. So there's easy to get around. You could literally walk from one side of the town to the other in a couple hours. Well, that's been a hard thing, Marshall, over the past 18 months where, you want to get out and see people, but you know that you can't. And you're spending a lot of time on Zoom calls or trying to get know people over Zoom. And then you're finally seeing them like after a year or something like that. And you go, oh, thank goodness. So glad to see you. And you have to make sure that you're careful about like not shaking hands yet or anything like that and keeping all precautions. But it's just so exciting to be out here and to be in Bonn Park and to see kids playing on the playground, using the stuff that the city has put in to be used and see it activated by the citizens themselves. That's really cool. Well, that's what we try and do, is make sure that each neighborhood has a park to get started with, because that's the collector area. When my boys were young, it was going to school, playing hockey, playing soccer, playing in the nearest playground, because they were very active. So up early Saturday mornings, they had to do something, because after they were fed at 7 o'clock, we were out and about, and sometimes we'd go out to St. Jacob's Market, and sometimes we just go to the local playgrounds. But they are so special. That's why we have so many of them. Just so many, it's hard to keep up with all the investment that we really would want to do for all playgrounds, but it's hard to keep up. Well, neighborhood kindness is something that's very important to us. We've had different programs, particularly through COVID-19, to be kind. We were so impressed with people helping out their neighbors. You remember in the early days of the pandemic, going shopping for your neighbor, dropping them off and knocking on the door and running away and that. And, or a neighborhood street party like my wife and neighbors organize once a year, well, in better times. But that is so important, because what we want is when you hear noise across the road, you want you to know your neighbor, so you feel comfortable in just saying, you know what, the baby's asleep right now. I'm wondering if you could cut the grass later or anything like that, as opposed to picking up the phone, calling the police, or calling bylaw for a neighbor-to-neighbor issue. Those are such hard things to solve, and the best way we can solve them is getting to know your neighbor and feeling comfortable talking to them about good things, but also about things that, things could be better, and probably they just don't understand. So I think that's really important, like Councillor Bodley says, is that get to know your neighbor, get to know your neighborhood, and that's where we're making lots of investments in our neighborhood team at the City of Waterloo.
Marshall, let's take a moment to hear from this week's sponsor,
the St. Jacobs Farmers Market.
This week's vendor profile is about the Christensen Smith Gallery.
My name's Melissa Christensen Smith, and I am the Christensen part of Christensen Smith. My husband is Andre Smith. We have worked together our whole married life. He's always worked with wood, and I've always been a photographer. And finally, technology caught up and allowed me to print my photographs on wood, which really made me happy.
Melissa told us about how they create their art.
If you've ever seen other photographers who print on glass or on metal, we all use a similar style printer. We've just had to basically make some adaptations with the process because of the surface being uneven. We really want all the grain and the anomalies and the saw cuts to show through. And we do use all reclaimed wood, but we only use hardwood. So oak, ash, sometimes maple, not as much maple because there's not enough grain, but we do reclaim all the lumber. The nice thing is, like, sometimes I do limited edition prints where I'm only going to print 10 of a certain photo, but every single time I print it, no one's going to get an identical print because the hardwood is always different.
Melissa tells us all about where she was raised, her love of architecture, and the story of how they became a vendor at the market.
I was born and raised in Toronto. I love the buildings. I love architecture. So I am drawn to more city scenes. I do a little bit of wildlife photography, but not a lot because I don't have the patience. I'm more a street type photographer. So I usually am drawn to, unique buildings, unique shapes, even things within buildings. So I have a series there on the one wall where, of course, you see like the Flatiron building, but then these are all different architectural features that you would see in Toronto. So we have Cabbagetown, we have like Bloor and Runnymede, the backs of all the storefronts and the apartments. I love the fire escapes. A friend of ours, they've been in the market here for years, and they said, why don't you see if you could get a market space for doing your art? And when I approached the office, they were like, actually, we're trying to convert the log cabin into more of an arts space. And I was like, the log cabin? It's always been a quilt shop. The history of the building, everything lends itself to my work and makes me happy. I love like high ceilings, everything. Lots of light, natural light. So It's an awesome space.
The log cabin is really the perfect space for this gallery. My family has loved that cabin for years when it used to be home to the Quilted Heirloom. It was always a destination. We would park across the street at the St. Jacobs Outlet Mall, and it would either be our first stop or our last stop, and now we have a whole new reason to visit.
Check out the Kissing Bridge Trail Studio Tour this October 23rd to 24th. There are many artists and many places to visit. You can check this out at KBT Studio Tour on Instagram. And now back to the show.
In talking with our neighbors, we talked a lot about kindness and what it means to be a good and kind neighbor.
Spoiler alert, many people appreciate having their driveway surprisingly shoveled for them.
I think being kind is very important because other people's feelings are important, and if you're not kind to them, then you'll hurt their feelings, and that isn't very good.
A lot of different kind of ways to see the world, and I say especially right now, there seems to be a lot of anger, a lot of divisiveness. So I think I just kind of view the world as kind of the golden rule, right? Treat others as I'd want to be treated.
So as far as neighborhood kindness and what that would mean for me personally, I think it's just being willing to help each other out. Especially in situations where somebody really needs help. I mean, it could be something as minimal as snow removal, honestly. Watching for each other's kids. I think it takes more than one person to be looking out for the kids in the neighborhood. Just keeping a lookout all together on that sort of thing. I think just looking out for each other, acknowledging your neighbors and looking out for them. It's so good to have the feeling that if you go somewhere, you're away for a day or a week or whichever, somebody's watching your house, somebody's paying attention to what's going on. I know that if I'm away and something happens, I know I'm going to get a text or a call if something's going wrong. It's paying attention to what's going on, whether it's positive or negative, and just looking out for each other. That is the biggest thing.
Kindness means to me to put yourself into others' shoes and see what they want, what they would expect you to do or what you would expect them to do. And that's what I've learned from my spiritual guru. The spiritual guru is not in body form anymore, but what they say that you need to have, you should not sympathize, you should empathize with people. And as soon as you put yourself into their shoes, things are solved. No matter whether you're in the neighborhood or at workplace, that's the biggest key to happiness, I would say. To feel what the other person feels, how would you want to be treated? So it's so simple. Things are so simple when you try to feel the other person's point of view, and all your problems, it's like a magic wand.
Yeah, I live in a lot of places. I mean, different countries, I would say definition of good neighbors have different definition, different places. I'm pretty easygoing. I mean, it's mostly, just being friendly and being helpful at times. I think that's what, I think that's a basic of a good neighbor in a sense. But I don't really have a lot of requirement of being a good neighbor myself.
The community is really supportive here. Everyone really is really nice and very helpful. I had a flat tire once and someone just brought out a bike pump and helped me out.
So we have a lot of great neighbors in this community, and they're always doing so much for us. And especially I would like to mention that a lot of times I have some problems or I have faced some issues. I don't know where to find the right people for fixing my problems, and all I need to do is just kind of post something on our neighborhood community page on social media, and there is immediately so many responses, and there are so many people who kind of come forward to help you, and that's been really great. Yes. So in Waterloo, we have a great arts community, and I have gotten to know a lot of local artists living here, and I have become a part of the art community and a part of places like Arts Bay and Kitchener-Waterloo Society of Artists. So I got to meet a lot of local artists who are dabbling in different media, and there are so many exhibition opportunities for doing art murals and things like art fairs. So it's been great living here.
I think I think that being a kind neighbor is very important, because it's a series of neighbors that make a neighborhood. And if neighbors are not kind, no matter how good or posh your neighborhood is, or how big the houses are, or how modern the facilities are, the neighborhood it's not good to live in. It's not safe or friendly. So I think what really adds value to a home is the people around it. And I think Clair Hills is a very nice neighborhood, very friendly people, and there's a lot of activity going on. I've noticed as opposed to Wallwood, I see many more people walking around, biking.
I think what makes a good neighbor for me is sort of empathy and understanding, and I think a lot of that plays out in some of the acts of kindness that you see the city really promoting amongst neighbors and friends. Like you sort of said, talking about shoveling your neighbor's driveway, or helping out a neighbor if they're away for the weekend, feeding their cats, and things like that. But at the end of the day, I think it's just sort of having that empathy and understanding about what other folks are going through, and sort of putting yourself into their position and shoes to just be a good person, and being a good person will sort of translate into you being a good neighbor as well.
When we moved here, I regret not reaching out to our neighbors and, just next door and saying hi, and kind of establishing that bond. But after a while, our next door neighbor, we started chatting and we got to know each other. And, just being able to borrow an item when you need it, or check on, something, can you check on my garage door if it's open or not? And having, that relationship is really nice, and being kind to each other. So I think it's good to have that with your neighbors. The more people, I'm not that social, I guess, to go and meet a lot of people, but just even to know a couple people or a few people, that's very nice. It gives you comfort.
Well, I do want to say, some people probably think I still have my Christmas lights up from a couple of years ago, and I haven't taken them down. The reason I haven't taken them down is because I'm not going to take them down, and I'm not going to stop lighting them until COVID is over. So that's, I think it's a ray of hope and light for people who are suffering through this. But I sit on my front porch and I watch people walk by, and they really like it. And I've asked them, should I take them down? And they're like, no, keep them on all year, because we love it. We love walking by your house, and it makes us feel good. So I think, being neighborly and doing wonderful things for your neighbors is always a good thing. Mowing your neighbor's lawn if they don't have a lawnmower, or shoveling, if you're out there anyways. So I just think it makes for a better community, and I just love living here in Clair Hills. I'm a bit of a person that loves to decorate seasonally, and you'll have Easter decorations, you'll have summer decorations, you'll have, and I'm a very big gardener as well. But then when fall and then Halloween rolls around, it's a special day for me, so I make it a big deal for the neighborhood. And I usually get about 130 kids, but unfortunately last year we only got 30 because of COVID, so I have high hopes for this year. I've already started working on my theme for this year. Every year is a different theme. And so it's just a wonderful thing to do for the community and for myself, because I enjoy it. And then I also do a lot of decorating for Christmas as well. So
I felt a sense of community mostly when we started walking as a family during COVID last year. And you'd see these beautiful drawings on windows that we're gonna get through this together. And there were rainbows and stars and unicorns, and it was just. It was so heartwarming to see all of these things as we were walking, and we just talked about them with my husband and my kids. and that made us feel so much better and less alone.
So I love how every time I go for a walk, I can get into a trail in like 2 minutes. The trails are so close by, and we have the beautiful Columbia Forest, which is next to us, and nature is really close to us here in this community. And the best part is that we have great neighbors, and especially during COVID last year, we had some events which the community organized, and we were a part of those small events, which kind of boosted everybody's morale, and it was really great.
It's good. It's a great, very positive place to live.
I like talking to people. You'll see me on my front porch sometimes reading or having a glass of wine or a coffee, and I like to say hi, and sometimes people stop and move on and whatever the case, but yeah, so I like to hear people's stories. We have traveled lots. Waterloo, I think, will always be home, whether it's in Clair Hills or do we move to, uptown to a condo at some point later on in life. But I think, obviously we have a daughter who has many friends, and the schools are fantastic, so we don't plan on moving anytime soon.
So I created the Clair Hills Community Group Facebook page out of just people kind of coming around and asking questions about different things. I was involved in the school fun fair and a lot of volunteering, and got to know a lot of the neighbors that way. And that kind of, caused the enhancement, I'll say, of getting to know the rest of the community, and talking to everybody in the community, especially people that were coming new and maybe didn't know anybody. I thought it was a good networking experience for everybody to kind of get to know each other, know what was going on in the community, and adding to that whole feel of it being a village where everybody was communicating, and getting to know each other, and not having it be one of these neighborhoods where people just kind of went inside and shut the door. It was more very much about people getting to know each other and coming around for various events and just chatting. If there was an issue, if there was an event happening, you knew you could go to the page and talk about it. A lot of positive, occasionally, a little bit of negative, but that comes with social media. I'd say for the most part, having the page kind of brought the community even more together between my page and, the community associations. It is just a very close-knit, welcoming neighborhood between Clair, Vista, all these areas that are close together in North Waterloo. It's just become, honestly, one big family.
I live in Waterloo, Clair Hill residence here, and I have been in Canada 31 years. And first we came as a student, so taking study at with Laurie, and find a job local. So settle in local Waterloo. I like Waterloo, especially North Waterloo, and I like this neighborhood because the people are nice, and a lot of family are taking care of each other. They're friendly, especially when you're away. I can easily talk to my neighbors. I will be away for a week for a vacation. Would you be able to pick up a mail for me? Would you be able to keep an eye on my my property? So they love to do that. So I totally feel comfortable living in this region, territory here. And so living and working in Waterloo, I like here. So it's kind of feels like my second hometown here. Yeah, my half life is here, right? So that's right. And years ago, we opened a small family-owned business restaurant in uptown Waterloo. So that keeps my husband busy, and I can help him after my daytime work. And after work, I try to help him and do the waitressing, do the books, and do greeting to customer. So that's we have done that for like 21 years. So finally, it's kind of time to retire, and it's taking a lot of commitment. But we have lots of good customers. They like us. So we treat them just like a family. And even we close, and we still got a lot of customers call me, text me, say, can you tell me, share the recipe, and how do you make this hot sour soup? How do you make, the chicken balls, things like that. So, so we have a lot of royal customer, and even like we close quite a few years, and some family, when they have a family get together, and they just invite us to come over to their house to cook for them. So it's a kind of local business, so we really enjoy that, and we got a lot of support.
When we were in California, we lived with good neighbors, but we didn't have a situation where the entire area was going to the same school. Lots of people were going to private schools and things like that. And since we've moved in, we have a 12-year-old boy, and it was great. The very first week, every single day, someone was knocking on the door like, "Hey, come out and do something with us." And so, he's found someone he walks to school with. Our older girl's found someone that she commutes with, and so that sense of the school, the kids, and the families are all sharing the same experience, I think, has been really great so far.
Marshall, as we start to wrap up our 100th episode here in Bonn Park, which is all about neighborhood kindness and connection, I want to take a moment to tell you how much I appreciate you and how much joy this podcast has brought me.
Right back at you. I'm so glad you're my neighbor.
Hey all, thanks for meeting us in Bonn Park. Please like, rate, and subscribe to our podcast on the platform that you're listening to. And follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Bonn Park Podcast. Original music by Alan Lung.